Hello, everyone. David and I are big fans of Divvy Bikes, the public bike share service in Chicago managed by Lyft. We especially enjoyed riding the black e-bikes because they are a lot faster than normal blue bikes. A frustrating issue that David and I often face is that when we plan to start an e-bike trip, we often cannot find available e-bikes nearby. To address this issue, we wonder how well we can predict whether an e-bike trip starts and ends in different zip codes based on starting information. Because if such prediction is possible, Divvy Bike Service Team can plan ahead to redistribute e-bikes to ensure sufficient supply in every zip code. This project serves as a preliminary step to answer this question. We analyzed over 2 million Divvy e-bike trip records from July 2020 to October 2021. We used the GeoPandas to identify the zip code of every trip start and end coordinates. In the 2 million e-bike trips, about 71% started and ended in different zip codes. We used AWS S3 for data storage, Dask for feature engineering and visualization, and PySpark for machine learning modeling. Here are two figures generated by DataShader representing the starting and ending coordinates of 2 million e-bike trips. We can see a sharp contrast. The starting coordinates are mostly concentrated in certain spots, which are likely to be the bike stations. Meanwhile, the end coordinates are scattered throughout major roads in Chicago. It means that e-bike trips are far more likely to end than to start away from the bike stations. It suggests that the Divvy Bike Service Team already plays an important role in moving these e-bikes from random spots on the streets to nearby bike stations. In our project, the binary outcome variable is whether a trip starts and ends at different zip codes. We prepared 7 feature variables based on starting timestamp and location, rider type, and trip duration.
Yeah, so to answer our question with a large-scale computing strategy, we use mainly Dask and PySpark in our analysis. There are 2 main advantages with these 2 tools. First, the data is not loaded until an action is called, so it really puts less constraint on the memory requirement of the clusters, and it saves cost. Second, they incorporate parallel computing under the hood, so it's convenient for researchers, since we do not have to explicitly allocate memories and do other stuff as in MapReduce. Also in this project, when we clean the data, we export it as Parquet instead of CSV, because Parquet is more efficient and works better in Hadoop clusters. And thirdly, parallel computing really comes in handy during hyperparameter tuning. This is especially helpful when we try to fit more complicated models to explore nonlinear relationships, such as using the random forest. With a larger data size, the random forest really took about 2 hours to run, even with limited grid search. This would have taken much longer time with serial computation. We also do recognize 2 main limitations with our strategy. First, we use apply in Dask data frame quite often. And since apply is pretty much a for loop, it does slow down the computation. Second, we rely on GeoPandas to merge zip code into our data. Since GeoPandas does not work well with Dask data frame, but only Panda data frame, essentially that part of the algorithm is done serially. These 2 limitations certainly leave us more room to improve our strategy. However, we believe our existing coding structure is certainly scalable and could be applied to larger data. So finally, looking at in this project, let's look at the result. In this project, we chose 2 models, logistic regression and random forest for prediction. As you see in the graph, random forest does better in both accuracy and AUC. It could better distinguish between positive and negative classes. This makes sense because we do expect nonlinear dynamics between our features and dependent variable of whether a trip crosses zip code or not. We discussed this more thoroughly in the GitHub page. At the end, while the result is not totally satisfactory, we found the random forest model provides reasonably well predictions with limited features. If we incorporate more features, we could certainly generate better predictions.
Thank you very much. Hopefully one day Lyft can pay us to launch 1 billion AWS EC2 instances for further analysis of Divi bike data.